Okay, so today I split my class up in ability groups. I had a working towards group that I was working with. My TA was working with an expected group, and then I also had another group which was a secure expected / greater depth group. So this group here, so green table and purple table. Once you've got the date and title, I want you to make a start on your starter. So it's really important that I've got all my resources readily accessible at the start of the lesson. The most important resource is my TA. She needs to be well aware of what the lesson involves, who she'll be working with, which groups I'm going to want her to check upon, and any misconceptions that may occur within that lesson.
Deck was so far dry, but because it's starting to rain, it's not going to be dry much longer. Yep. Love that. It's very good.
Thank you.
Aaron, how did you?
The second resource I want to have prepared are the activity sheets for the children. So I need to be aware of those that will need it stuck in to avoid wasting any time. I want to make sure that tasks that the children will need to stick in their books or work from are grouped ready in their tables. So I'll be putting them into baskets that I can just grab to put on the table at the right time. So having two teachers in the room makes it very hard to have two different inputs on the smartboard at the same time. So one group will be working from the smartboard, and with the other group I'll ensure that those slides are printed and I can have them displayed on my flip chart board, as well as having copies to go on the tables with the groups that I'm working with. So let's have a look at my checklist that I've got here. So I'm saying if we're going to be punctuating speech, we need to make sure that if there's a new speaker, we're putting their speech on a new line. We're going to use a capital letter at the start of the speech, yeah? So do you remember that the first word that gets spoken, we need to write it with a capital letter? Okay, so the first part of the lesson, whilst the TA was working with a group and I was working with a group, I had a group that were working on a starter task. To avoid them interrupting me and being able to move on, I used honesty sheets. The purpose of that is that after completing a few questions, the children can check their work, they can self-assess to see that they are on the right track, or if there's any misconceptions that they can address independently or with their peers. Right, you guys, how are we doing here? So how many questions do you think we've got done? 3, 4? Green table, how are we doing? Good. What I'd like you to do now is just to make sure that you're on the right track. In the bottom of your basket, can you find your honesty sheets? And using your purple pens, I just want you to self-mark your questions. Great discussion. I've also asked children to underline parts of their work. This is so that as I go around to see how they're getting on, I can see exactly whether they've achieved the outcome for the task. If they haven't been able to do that, I can address those misconceptions there and then.
Does that make sense? Does that give you a bit of an idea? Yeah. Great. Perfect.
Are we missing punctuation there? That's fine. Okay, so what I've noticed is that we are missing a little bit of punctuation in our speech. So think about split speech.
So who could be saying that?
If we've got the reporting clause in the middle, we still need some punctuation before the second part of the speech. So after your reporting clause, you're either going to decide whether you need a comma before the speech starts again, or if that statement has finished and you need a full stop. A second teaching point were the models on the board. So I didn't just show a good model, I showed other models too. I asked the children to identify which one was better than another and justify their answers for that. For the next one, which one do we think is correct? So this isn't looking good. Charles, where are you? Is it the first or second one? Marnie, which one do you think it is? You think it's the second one? So Marnie says it's the second one. This isn't looking good, Charles. Charles, where are you? Asked Captain Fitzroy. Darwin, get up. This isn't the time to be a coward. We need all hands on deck. There's been quite some damage to the storm and it's only going to get worse. So I'm looking at the reporting clause here. So asked Captain Fitzroy. I'm going to compare it to the reporting clause for the other one. Confused, Fitzroy glanced around the cabin to find Darwin cowering under a table. Why do we think Amani's right? Is Amani right? Oliver, you think she is too?
Yeah, I think the other one, I think it has too much extra information that wouldn't be needed.
Would that mean teach?
You think there's too much extra information but it's not needed?
No, good. So,
Who would like to argue that?
how he's feeling.
Alfie, do you agree with them?
Captain.
No, why not?
Captain
The second
Fitzroy.
one has
So it still doesn't need to be speech marks yet.
Brilliant. Who, where, how, and what? Good. Well done. There's more description, but we need that extra description so that we can create images in our head. We need to move the story on. Okay. So by having these 4 elements in our report in speech, we can move the story on. We can advance the action. Okay. So then, if you could just have a look at with the person next to you for that last one. If you haven't started it, that's fine. But you just have that brief discussion. Which one have you chosen and why? So don't worry if you haven't got it in your books. Just have a discussion with the people around you quickly.
Telling you what he's doing and where he is.
Right.